This is the secret to record sales and profits, not spending money to try to attract strangers. If it's working for you, that's fine. If your business requires that, that's fine. But there's a bigger picture. Even if you're doing well with direct advertising, you want to add this component of referral marketing to the mix. The secret to record sales and profits in a small business is marketing to this referral source, this potential referral source right here in the middle, who already has your existing clients on their database, coming into their store, whatever the case might be. You want to follow up and understand that the force is in the follow up. If you call on anybody that may or may not buy, and by the way, with referral marketing, you're building relationships, you're not selling. You're not selling anything. You're building a relationship and you are sharing with them how you could be a resource to their clients. The fortune is in the follow-up, that once you meet with someone, you want to automate the follow-up. So you're going to have an automation that reaches back to them and says, nice to meet you, nice to see you again. And then you want to have an email funnel through Keep for referral sources for industry specific messaging.
This was an example I wanted to share with everyone. So what we're showing here is here's some examples when you're doing network follow-up. Howard has talked about you can go to a live event, you can do a personal, you meet somebody at the store, any opportunity that you have to meet somebody new. And the beauty of it and a CRM, or what did you call it, Howard? An RRM? An
RRM,
RRM is that you
referral
can.
relationship management system.
Yes, I love that. The beauty of that is that you can have a system behind all of this that will do the follow-up for you. So your job is to focus on the relationship and the conversation that you have with that person. So the example that we have here, there's some various ways that you can meet somebody and follow up, however you want to collect that information. So a really cool bonus about Keep specifically, it's our preferred CRM, is that on their app, their mobile app, you can actually scan business cards and that will enter the person's information as a contact. And from there, you can do any tags. That's kind of what Howard talked about, the tagging system. So here's some examples of what that looks like. So the first thing that I showed on here was you collect leads on a form or relationships on a form. And that would be beneficial. That's there at that top left corner. That's an example of a form. Um, so this would be a great, oh, go ahead, Howard.
Yeah, Victoria, I want to also point out that what I do is when you have your form, could be your normal opt-in or a specific opt-in for a referral source, is I just keep the link on my phone and I
Yes.
just and you can do a QR code on your phone and they can just scan that QR code and they're opting in right there for you. So you skip the step of having to take the business card, even scan it and put it in yourself. Now you're obviously, want to do that, but I have been literally standing in a buffet line at an event, at a
Mhm.
networking group, and I give them the link. They click it, and by the time they get through the buffet line, they're getting our messaging. It's
Yeah.
so cool.
It is cool. Yeah, so what Howard was talking about there is web forms can be placed on a landing page, your website, or it can actually be a standalone link, and that's a feature that they, have inside of Keep. And so these web forms, you can ask any information, any field, that's what they call it, a field. You can collect any information that you want. You can do as little as you want, name and first name and email, or you could do what's your favorite color? What services or what kind of clients do you typically work with? What industry are you in? So those are just some information. When's your birthday? That might be a great one for a referral source. So you can keep in touch and wish them happy birthday and keep that personal. So that's the example with the web form. Now we talked about collecting leads and you're on the mobile app through business cards or just in general, when you get inside of your app, you can apply tags, which those can set off automations as well. So the ones I had here is you can send an appointment link. So you might be talking to somebody, and of course you could text them your appointment link, but you could also just add a tag to a person's contact, and it'll send a whole follow-up series giving them your appointment link, why they should book with you, reminding them in case they forgot, so you don't have to do all that work. Because we know it takes usually more than one email to get somebody to book if it's important to you.
In this case, when you're networking with a potential referral source, again, someone, so anybody could be a referral source for you, but you have those identified referral sources like Tim was talking about in his business, restoration people, insurance people, and frame shops, or art people, as an example. And back in the day, and probably some of you are still doing this, you collect a business card and you understand, you've learned that a contact is important, right? So
Mhm.
you save those business cards. And if you're anything like I used to be, those business cards pile up on your desk. They're important, so you want to keep them, but you don't get around to putting them in. I see people smiling out there. Dustin, you know what I'm talking about, right? So then they're in the way, and so you take them and you move them here to the back table, your credenza or whatever. But they're important because you've understood the lifetime value of a potential client, and you know that they're important, so you don't want to throw them away. But then they pile up over here, and so you put them in a desk drawer. Okay. And then about once a year, you clean up your office, and you're like, man, I need to clean out my drawers, everything. They're important, so you take this drawer full of business cards, and you put them in a shoebox, and you put them in your basement or your attic or your garage or whatever because they're important. Anybody listen?
I saw a lot of laughs when you were telling that story, Howard.
Absolutely. It's so true. So what I first started doing is I just started texting it to one of my to an assistant. You can have a high school student. Listen, give you a little tip. There's a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of high school kids, a whole bunch of college kids that are just got out of school. They're getting out of school this week. Hire them for the summer to help you set this stuff up. And so you can scan it. Like Victoria said, it goes right in the CRM. You can have them click the link, or if you actually collect a business card and you can have someone else do it.
Right.
But the last thing that you want to do is, put those business cards and let them sit there. Because here's the thing. The thing is that hopefully when they meet you, they're excited about meeting you. Hopefully when you go to call on a referral source, you do all the right things, you bring the goodies, you have the right brochures, you're dressed right, you have the right, hopefully they are impressed with you, they like you. But what happens is then everyday business, everyday life gets in the way. And so this way, that doesn't rely on a person, the system is following up for you.
Right. Right. So again, back to the just this workflow automation example, you might have a couple of lead magnets that you want to give away to somebody that's personally meeting you. It could be a book, it could be a video. You could shoot a video on your phone, and it could be a hidden YouTube link. You just put it on YouTube, but it's something that you want to send to people you just met. And you add this to an email, and it's a message. How cool is that? It's a personal video message, and they'll remember you. They'll remember your face. Also, they'll put a face to the name. So there's all sorts of ways, but have a couple of lead magnets you can share with them. Tell them about your business or how the relationship could form. And then after that, after you've had this really personal touch, you can add them to your a specific lead nurture, an offer, something that relates to the conversation. So, and all of this can be automated. I mean, all you're doing is putting them in the system and the system does the rest. How cool is that? You know, it's
Right.
amazing. Okay, this is a really cool one and it works really well in Howard's service company. We use this and I love seeing all of the well, I'll share about it first. So this is after you have completed service in your business and you want to ask for that review. Now, the only way we get reviews is we have to ask for them. And how easy or hard you make that is up to you because you can have the system ask for it. But the important thing is that you're getting that feedback, right? We need to learn that about the company. So the way that we have it set up is after a service is complete, we put them in this automation. We tell them thank you, and we ask, hey, could you take a 45-second survey so that we can see how we did in your eyes? And based on the survey, so you'll see that in the middle there, it's a how did we do form. And then based on the ratings of this form, we have a very happy client and we say, hey, can you please post this on Google or Yelp? And then we have a happy client, but maybe when we want to, all of this is all sent internal as well. So the team sees all of this. So it sends this to the client. Hey, thank you for, yeah, I'm so glad that you had a phenomenal service and that we upheld our mission. So could you please share that with everyone on Google, Yelp, all the various review platforms. We obviously prioritize Google. That's really important to your SEO and AEO. And then we also have the instance where there is an unhappy client. And again, this goes to the team and immediately tells the team we apologize for that, through the system to the client. And the team gets a notification instantly and we respond with a phone call. So that's another way. And since the system knows that this is after a service is, just the final piece to this is that the system knows that it sends the client into this automation immediately after a service is complete. So we can use that as a timing tool for the internal team. So we can have reminders not only for the client, but for the internal team to give phone calls. It can actually send a list of clients. Hey, they had service 6 months ago. Let's call them and remind them. And it also sends an email to the client. Hey, you completed this service 6 months ago, XYZ. This is why you should, call us again, maybe a special offer. You've been a client, you've done service in less than a year, so there's a special offer for a client that, does the service again before the year is up. So there's a whole lot of fun ways you can incentivize clients to rebook with you. So this not only does the, review, we're going to check with the team, how the team's going to see how we did. We're going to check with the client, but it's also to rebook clients and keep in touch with them. So it has actually two things here. So here's an example of the email, the way it's very short. You make it clear with a big button, for a 45-second survey. And then here's the example of the survey. Well, how funny, it says 45-second and then 60 seconds of your time. So, so we'll adjust that. But it's a very simple survey, but it gets all the information that we want to know on how the service or conversation, whatever consultation, how that went. So those are the examples there. So the next automation, this is the third one, is a new lead nurture. Now this in terms of referral relationship building, that sort of thing, that there's some options here. So if you get access to these automations, I kind of have one. So there's and how can I help lead nurture series. There's a bonding lead nurture series, and then best of is probably your best option. And what that does is it sends 3 emails in a pretty short period of time. I believe it's a week. You can put that to 2 weeks if you don't want to seem like you're bugging the person, but you want to stay top of mind, right? And of course, when they're really willing to start that relationship. But this is a very personal, when we say a lead nurture, it's really to build that relationship. So it's a personal email from you. Maybe in those email series, you're sending a picture of you with your team, talking about the success, the history of your company, or it's you with a favorite business book that really influenced, success in your business or something you implemented. So it's something that's really personal to you And you're just saying, "Hey, it was so nice to meet you," and then you can after those few series of emails are done. And there, the call to action could be just a reply. You could ask for a reply. "Hey, how about you? Can you tell me about your favorite business book?" It could be something like that. So it just needs to feel really personal, not necessarily, taking them to an offer. But after this personal side is done and these three touches of personal emails, you can actually put them into a regular email newsletter, which I talk about all the time on my call, my monthly digital marketing call. You need to have a regular email newsletter at least once a week go into your email list to have good standing with email providers and to really get the word out and stay top of mind for your business and for your clients. And then I talked about this earlier. I forget who mentioned that you might be collecting the same business cards from the same people. So the system, if you see at the bottom here, the system can determine if they've been through this before. So if you've met somebody, how awful would it be if you put them in an automation and it's like, "Hey, nice to meet you," and you met them 2 months ago? I mean, that'd be really tough, right?
Nice
But
to meet
this
you
is
yesterday for the first time.
Right, exactly. But the system can actually determine there's a little box with a diamond on there, and I'm getting kind of techie here, but that is called a decision diamond inside of Keep. And that you can do it based on different data points. So if somebody's already been through this, they already have a tag that they've been through this personal lead nurture, they won't go in this again. They're not going to get the "nice to meet you, this is my favorite business book," none of that. So you actually can already put them into another series, or you could have the system alert like, "Hey, you already know this person. You can give them a call and get re-engaged with them." So you can do a lot of different things. But these are the three main automations I would say that work really well in relationship building and just staying top of mind, asking for reviews, and a "nice to meet you" opportunity.